Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's May 9th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see British Columbia, Washington, and Oregon. Check out the big ridge of high pressure right off the coastline here, working its way back up across British Columbia. This is going to keep us nice, dry, and warm, at least through Saturday, and probably keeping some above average conditions a little bit here as we go on into the early portion of next week. But we got some model discrepancy through the extended forecast that we're going to dive into on what is coming in our future, because some models were showing the redevelopment of the ridge on in through next week, but now the models are kind of showing more of a troughing system rolling in here. So we'll dive into those details here in a moment. Taking a look at the Mother's Day weekend forecast. Spokane National Weather Service, check it out. Some very nice weather out there. Don't forget your mom, of course. And this was issued yesterday here. But yeah, this is going to be the case. Many temperatures getting up into the 80s and even 90s east of the Cascades. Taking a look here, this is for National Weather Service Missoula. Just pointing out that a lot of Montana will be warming up as well. Look at Butte 73, Kalispell 79. Look at Libby at 85. So yeah, we're going to be definitely warming up here as we go through Thursday on into Sunday. Here we go for Helena. Check it out. Look at 53 today and 78 on Sunday. What a shock to the system coming up here. Look at Harv, Cut Bank out there. Great Falls, 78 degrees. Dillon up to 76. Also, look at even Yellowstone warming up a bit here as well. And then maybe an unsettled pattern as we go on in through next week. More on that here in a moment. And here we go. Check out for Medford National Weather Service. You can see the west side. Look at this. Some temperatures possibly reaching up towards 90 degrees here. Some areas up to the 70s. The mountains, of course, are going to be cooler here, but definitely going to feel this warm up as we go through the next few days. Now, if we take a look, just a reminder here, this is Seattle National Weather Service. You can see Friday and Saturday, look at this, into the low 80s, but the dangers of the cold water will be out there. You know, if you're out in the foothills, you know, those waters coming off the mountains are going to be a lot of snow melt and whatnot, pretty chilly. But look at Centralia, Bremerton, 85, Enumclaw, 82, Tacoma, 81, Olympia, 84, North Bend, 86. So, yeah, people are going to be definitely lured into the water out there. Just be careful. You know, the dangers of the cold water do exist. And day one thunderstorm outlook just does clip southeast Idaho, but you can see no thunderstorm threat for Washington, Oregon, much of Idaho, British Columbia as we go through the day today. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, it has a lightning detection system with it as well. It's got a great anemometer. The thermometer's been pretty accurate also, and it stores all the data for you in the cloud. Click on that link down below to save 10% off. If we take a look at what the Doppler radar may look like today, just kind of showing you the wrap up of this system here across some of the Intermountain West. Could spread a thunderstorm here across some of southern Idaho, and it does show a couple echoes just clipping southeast Oregon here in Nevada as we go on into tomorrow morning. And then you can kind of see this will be the Intermountain West problem here, but no precipitation expected here for the next few days across the Pacific Northwest. As you can see, this goes out to Saturday afternoon. Now, taking a look at the European on the left and the European on the right, but this is this last night's run versus yesterday morning's run. So you can clearly see the ridge. You know, of course, this is ongoing as we speak, so very high confidence in the warm temperatures coming up over the next few days. But look what happens as we go into the extended forecast. We're now into Monday morning, and you can see a little bit stronger with this trough here. And then some of the previous runs, as you can see, we're trying to build that ridge back as we go through next week. But last night's run kind of backed off on that notion here, and that's a stronger trough trying to drop down across southeast Alaska. Those some big differences starting to emerge. You know, that can happen, and we're going to be watching that over the next few days to see how this trends. Now, taking a look at the GFS, let's see what it shows here on the most recent run. This is actually running as we speak, so I'm going to update. And then we're going to dive into this. You can see that ridge of high pressure dominating our weather here for the next few days. Then the trough swings down through British Columbia there as we go through Monday. So we only have 93 hours there. Let's go ahead and back it up to the 06Z and see what the GFS wants to show. We're going to go a bit further out. How does that ridge build in here? The GFS kind of holds it there, but then look at this trough dropping down here as we go through about the May 15th time frame here, kind of swinging through British Columbia. That would definitely cool things off here across much of the Pacific Northwest. We'll be watching that closely, and if we scroll way off into Fantasyland here, you can see another trough off the coastline here, then another trough off the west coast. That would even have its eyes on California here as we go on into the later May period. But again, more on that here in the upcoming days. Looking at Seattle Tacoma International Airport, look at today 73, maybe 80s, low 80s as we go through Friday and Saturday before a gradual cool down here as we go through Sunday and next week, but still better temperatures than what we have been having so far this month and for many portions of April. And if we look at what's going on here at the surface, this is sea level pressure. You can see the you can see the thermal trough here. You can kind of see that low pressure creeping up the coastline, and that helps with some of the offshore winds and compression winds here. The big ridge of high pressure kind of shifts inland, and then we get that thermal trough coming up the coastline as a result of this big ridge above us. And then as we go on in through Saturday, probably the warmest day for places like Portland and Seattle as we go on in through this weekend coming up here. And then you can see that thermal trough starts to kick inland a little bit here. It's not a huge marine push, but we're going to cool down on Sunday. And if we take a look at the winds at 925 millibars here, I want to show you what's going on above us here. So you can see as we go through the day today, this is late morning, offshore flow is evident here at about 2,500 feet, all the way down through California, all the way through Oregon, Washington, and some of British Columbia here. And you can see this offshore flow continues on into tomorrow morning. Then we start to weaken those gradients here, and you can kind of see things get squirrely on Saturday. But again, probably the warmest day for places west of the Cascades on Saturday, but there's probably going to be some sort of marine pushing into some of the coastal areas. But then as we go through Saturday afternoon, you can kind of see the westerlies returning down the Strait of Juan de Fuca here and across the Cascades. As again, that thermal trough, it's a fairly weak one, but it'll shift east to the Cascades. And as we go on into Sunday, you can kind of see again another surge showing up there through the westerlies, the Chehalis Gap as well, as Sunday will be cooler than Saturday, especially west of the Cascades, but probably another warm day as per usual in these type of events here as you get east of the Cascades. Now, if I look closely here, you're going to notice, for example, if you're across Seattle or Portland, you're going to get some of these northerly winds today. So it doesn't really truly feel like a big offshore east wind event, but just above us, we do have those offshore winds. And I should point out that across the Cascades of Oregon here, you do have these offshore winds. You're going to notice those as well as we go through the day today and tonight. And then we go on into tomorrow. And Friday, you can kind of see, again, north winds here, but the gradient will be relaxing. And then as we go on into towards Saturday, you'll notice the westerlies start to creep down the Strait of Juan de Fuca here as we go through Saturday afternoon and the Chehalis Gap, and they pick up on the east slopes of the Cascades of Washington and Oregon as well, kind of marking that thermal trough sliding to the east of the mountains. Now, taking a look on the North American model at 925 millibars, 2,500 feet, you can, again, shows what the European does. You can see those offshore winds here just above the surface here, and that's what's going to allow us to warm up so much here as we go through Saturday. And let me just scroll ahead all the way on, excuse me, all the way on in through Saturday afternoon, and you can see those westerlies start to return there at the very end of the North American model run, which goes out about 60 hours, and the gusty winds coming through the gorge and down the east slopes of the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. Now, looking at Portland, average temperature for this time of year is right around 68 degrees or so, so we're probably going to be besting that, no doubt, today. You can see on the 8th we had 70, it was yesterday, so Portland, Oregon, a little bit above average yesterday. And better amounts precipitation-wise versus Seattle. Already 1.77 inches of rain for Portland so far this year, and we only averaged 2.5 inches for the month of May. You can see Seattle here, 64 yesterday. 65 the average high, but lots of glorious sunshine out there. It was a very nice day, and we're definitely going to be ramping up these temperatures, maybe by 10 degrees today, and then maybe another 8-9 degrees tomorrow as well. So get ready for that relative heat here. And then you can see Seattle not doing as well as Portland as far as rainfall is concerned. Only 0.28 of an inch of rain. We average 1.8 inches for the month of May this time of year. Now you can see the daily max 2-meter temperature. This is for today, 74 degrees. It's going to be noticeably warmer than it was yesterday. Some areas in the Willamette Valley could hit 80. Eastern Washington also, and you can see how the valleys are really warming up this time of year all the way up into British Columbia, southwest BC. Let's look at tomorrow. Check it out. Look at all these 80s, some upper 80s around the Willamette Valley, potentially Portland as well. Eastern Washington, look at some 90s starting to show up here, maybe for the Tri-Cities here as we go through Saturday. Look at the 82 for Seattle. Very nice and warm. Get out there and enjoy that on a Saturday. And if we go through Sunday here, you can see 74 degrees. So still not too bad here on Sunday. We'll see how that marine push works out. Then we go through Monday. We cool down a bit more here, but we do hang just above average here if you believe the National Planet models. However, we still have that fly in the ointment where some of the model runs like the European, the GFS are starting to show a trough in some of these runs that are coming in recently. So we'll be watching that over the next few days. Take a look at SeaTac. Look at the GFS still has 84 and 85 on Friday and Saturday. So big warm up even from what you're going to get today, which is a big warm up from what we had yesterday. Then you can see dropping back down, maybe just a little bit above normal here for this time of year as we go through next week. But again, that forecast is definitely going to be in flux. Now take a look at Bend, Oregon. You can see the bump and then maybe the drop back down. But the red line is average temperatures for this time of year. And you can see doing quite well above average probably through the mid-May period here coming up. And if we look at total snow in inches in the National Blended Models, I'm just going to scroll through this really fast because you can see a little bit of snow flies a little bit here as we go through next week, but it's not much. You know, it's that time of year where things start slowing down as far as snowfall is concerned. We're looking, you know, almost 11 days out here right now, and that's not much snowfall across the higher terrain. So just, you know, have that in the back of your mind. And if we look at precipitation, not much better. If we go through the 10, 11-day time period, you can see some precipitation for Vancouver Island, maybe the Olympics and the Cascades here off and on, but not much for Seattle or Portland, Eastern Washington, Oregon also, maybe some for the Rockies there up into Canada as well. Now, if we look at the 6 to 10 day, they do have that sliver of below that starts to show up here with the big bullseye of above across a lot of the Southwest that extends up into Oregon and Washington, Idaho, and Montana. So again, this forecast is definitely in flux. Here's a 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook here below normal here across the West Coast, as you saw in the National Blended Models, not much precipitation showing up. There's the 8 to 14 day, kind of that below average sliver right there across Washington and Oregon, and the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook. Now we got a new drought monitor out here. It looks like it was extended a little bit further off to the west here, some of the Cascade foothills here. And nothing too crazy. It's just moderate drought right now, but there are some areas of severe and extreme drought across portions of Idaho and Montana. And if we take a look at this, you can see this very El Nino-ish signature here as far as precipitation is concerned. And pretty typical. You kind of have the jet stream pointing a little bit further south, better moisture values down into the south here. The snow water equivalent is much better off to the south across portions of Oregon. Southern Idaho is doing better versus Washington, Northern Idaho, Montana, and British Columbia, where we are not doing too well as far as snow water equivalent is concerned. And this ended May 5th. But yeah, anyway, get out there and enjoy this warm weather here. So we have fun stuff to look at here coming up to see what kind of trough will be moving through the area as we go through next week, or will that ridge redevelop in some of the model runs here coming up. So that'll be something fun to watch as we go through the forecast tomorrow. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Get out and enjoy that weather. You can clearly see the ridge of high pressure dominating our weather here. It's going to be quite nice. I have to work one more day, then I have a couple days off here. So yeah, I'm going to get out there and enjoy that for sure. So anyway, click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.